Welcome back to the Furality Sylva DJ interview series. We're gonna do the deep dive. I have DJ Ears with me. Hey DJ Ears, what's your hardware software setup like?
I'm currently using the, what is it called, the DJ 400. It's the one that looks like the Pioneer CDJs that are so popular. But if I'm not using that, virtual DJ with like a mouse.
That's fair. I mean,
I've been doing it for so long now. Like, I got started with just this dinky little thing that had jog wheels on it, and it was like the Fisher Price of DJ controllers.
Oh yeah.
And I probably got it used for, let's say, $70.
Oh wow.
I used that for like 2 Califers, 3 years on the radio. You know, I upgraded to like a Newmark Mixtrack Pro 3 or Pro 2 or so, one of these things, and eventually, like, I finally got over the honest to god fear of using like actual CDJs, and it was just like, oh, I got this, like, I understand what I'm doing. It's the same thing. Like, I don't know what I was so legitimately like freaked out over. And so the hardware I'm using now, what did I say, the
DDJ 400 from
Max.
Pioneer. Oh,
That's the one. Exactly. And it just works like a breeze. It's very similar to the CDJ setups. So I'm super cool with that. I'm really minimal.
Nice.
Like, I don't need a lot of like buttons to press, you know?
all the levers, all the knobs.
Oh my God. That was when I was first learning to DJ. It was, I won't say who it was, because God bless him. Like, he was super cool and helping me out and gave me a huge break. And I'm grateful for that. But it was, I tell the story. It was very much like, here's your low, mids, and highs. You got this, right? Up and down volume, crossfader. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I got this. And then you got this effect over here, and you can do this, and you can twist the thing over this way. You can do this cool effect, and then you can like switch this thing over to this mode, and then the jog wheel will change this. And I'm just like, oh God, I'm gonna be sick. Like, what time am I playing tonight? 4 hours? Oh God. Like, and
This is called the wobble bar. Makes the DJ deck go
like,
wow, wow, wow.
They should put a whammy bar. They should put a whammy bar on the next pair of CDJs. I would absolutely kill to have a whammy bar while DJing. Yeah, like right in the middle of like
Next to your
through the
theremin.
flanger. Yeah, I don't need any beat grids. Just, right in the middle of a breakdown.
Oh man.
Right? It would be the best.
Right.
The best. Pioneer, if you're listening, make it, do it. Get it done.
DDJ
Come
Whammy 5000.
Yes.
DDJ Whammy 5000. Oh, so that does kind of wrap very nicely into our next question. How did you get your start? What was your inspiration to, start spinning?
Good question. I think, in all honesty, it just came from, I produce music as well. Rarely nowadays, because I've got like IRL job and life to try and take care of. But I grew up making music. I started off making MIDIs in this like notation software. It was like, hey, here's a piano roll and a quarter note and a half rest. Like, you figure it out. And I was making MIDIs, and I was huge into like trance and electronica. Like, we're talking, when was this? Like early 90s easily. And this was back when like trance and quote unquote electronica were kind of like in the same vein. Like, you could mix it all onto a single CD and no one really knew what the difference was. There wasn't really a big divide between those kinds of things. And I loved DJ mixes, absolutely loved DJ mixes. And I had a couple of CDs. And so, like, once I started to kind of get my feet wet with making dance music, especially when I moved into like using FL Studio, which I'm an FL Studio guy.
I get the Fruity Loops.
It just kind of became natural. Yeah, it was a natural progression. Like, I was like, okay, I can make a song. That's cool. let's make a like 30-minute song, because I didn't know how to actually DJ. So I was just like, I'll just make like a 30-minute song, and it just changes every now and then. And that was how I started, honestly. Until I finally, I think it was probably, I want to say like 2005 or 6, right around that time when I think a lot of like very basic DJ controllers, the cheapy plasticky ones, they were starting to hit the market and become really accessible to like just your everyday average person.
Yeah.
And that was, like I told you, I picked up this really cheap Fisher Price DJ controller and started playing around with it. And from there, it was just practice, tons of practice.
For those that don't know, kind of like the early to mid 90s of making music, explain what a MIDI is.
Oh, sure. So if an MP3 is like real audio, actual recording of something, more or less, a MIDI is a bunch of signals that the computer reads, like data, and then the data tells the computer to play back a certain sound in like a sound bank, like a sample or a synth kind of, and that's what it does. And computers had not even a standard, but sort of I mean, they called it like, you had like general MIDI, but it essentially, there was this sound bank of like 128 different synths, and you had like a bass guitar that kind of sounded like a guitar, and all these kinds of different sounds that you could tell the computer to play back. And that's what a MIDI was. They were really small file sizes. It was the kind of stuff you probably had playing in the background on your MySpace page, if you guys are old enough to remember.
Tom just wanted to be our friends guy.
Right, like back on your GeoCities website is where you were blasting your favorite anime tune that someone made in a MIDI.
Yeah, you can link to your Zynga.
An MP3. I'm old. Like at this point, I get it. I don't feel old, but like by today's standards, yeah.
We're in the same boat.
When I see kids and they're just kids. When I see folks and like, oh yeah, my first video game console was like the GameCube, and I just die a little bit on the inside, where I'm like,
oh honey,
I had the Sega Genesis. I had the big gray Game Boy.
Yeah, the chunk or the brick. I had an original NES.
It was a chunky gray. Oh, right on.
You had to blow in it. Like, it doesn't work unless you blow in it.
Yeah, that was how video games worked back then.
All right, so with your like inspiration till now, do you have any DJs that have been mentors to you, or anyone you look up to, or just friends you want to shout out?
I would say DJ. So I got my start spinning a lot of hardcore. I'm a huge hardcore guy. So like DJ Gammer, Fracas and Darwin, Pixie, a lot of the like Billy Bunter, a lot of those guys were really crucial to me, like kind of learning and understanding what I was doing and just paying attention to like how they spun. And I think it was DJ Kotz and Ravine. And like, I think Ravine was the one that put like a little video on YouTube on like, here's how I DJ using virtual DJ, which was like so outdated at this point. But like, for me, that was like, this is the key. Like, this is how I learn. It was one of those like moments where I was like, oh, I get it. And that changed everything, I have too many, like, as a DJ coordinator myself, I have too many friends that are DJs, and on top of that, a lot of people that I've seen come through at like Further Confusion and some of the other ones that I pay attention to. Furcon's the one that I go to, and they're all crazy talented. So I won't start naming names because I'll leave too many out. But like tons of talent in this fandom. Seriously, you guys. There's a lot of them are playing here this weekend.
Oh yeah,
so that's gonna be cool.
Our lineup is I know I say it every year, but our lineup's like the best lineup, we've had. I can't wait to see what everybody brought. It's gonna be intense.
I'm really excited to see a lot of the new, like, untested up and coming DJs. I always get a thrill out of that, because I'll never forget the first time that I got on stage and someone gave me that opportunity, and like I know how much it means to be able to hey, I just want to be able to get on stage and see what it's like and see if I can do it, because it builds so much confidence, when you're up there and
100%
got it running and it's going smooth. That is everything. And like I feel like as a fandom, there's so much more of that we need to be doing, and a lot of that has started to happen in the last few years, especially like during the pandemic. There was a suddenly geographical location didn't matter, and so you could start. We saw people from overseas playing at local cons online, and it was just a huge mixing pool of talent that really broke open a lot of new doors. I thought that was super cool.
The last question we have that we've been asking all the DJs is something that at Furality we hold kind of dear, which is, reaching a little out to those aspiring DJs. Do you have any advice or, maybe some tips and tricks or something for people looking to get into spinning?
Boy, howdy do I. So much advice and tips and tricks. I'll jump on one that's just floating at the top of my head. I mentioned earlier I'm a DJ coordinator myself, and it kills me when I see folks who are really trying to get booked at a con, and for whatever reason they're just not getting accepted, and it's demoralizing, and it really brings them down, and they feel like they're just not making it. Like whatever they do, something's wrong. And like I gotta tell you, like, just keep trying. Like, branch out and ask questions, figure out what you can do, to look at what you're doing as like, I hate to say it this way, but like as like data, right? Like, how can you quantify what you're doing compared to some other person on stage that got selected? And I think a lot of times the answer is you're doing the exact same thing. You're doing nothing wrong. You might be a little bit inexperienced, but you're probably doing absolutely nothing wrong. And I think so many times the answer to this question of like, how come I'm just not getting booked? Like, what is it that they've got over me? Sometimes it's inexperience. Like I said, it's hard to get booked when you haven't had that opportunity given to you to get up on a stage and show that you're capable. And so frequently, there's only a handful of DJ slots at a lot of in-person conventions, and when you're a big con, you're getting hundreds of submissions. And so you have to look at it almost like a job application, which I'm sure nowadays everyone can understand, can probably relate to that, right? You're competing with hundreds of other DJs for like 20, 25, 30, slots
if
on
that.
the lineup. And yeah, so it can be really tricky to like, I need to stand out a certain way. Oh, I feel like I have to play this genre or no one will pay attention to me. It's tough, it's hard, and sometimes it's just there's a huge number of people, and someone decided to pick someone else over you, and it happens. It's happened to me. So again, like, I feel like the biggest thing you can do in that situation is just keep trying your best to look at what you're putting together and how you can improve. And know that a lot of times you're doing fine. It's just the availability that is the problem. If a convention could have 24-hour DJs, or at least one of them I know does, right? And went for like 7 days. Ooh, man, the chance of you getting picked goes up significantly. But as soon as the roster starts getting trimmed down, you start looking, as a coordinator, I think you start looking at, I do at least, I start looking at things like, how interesting, of a genre is this? Is this something I haven't heard before? I want to put that on the lineup. Is this someone new that I think just needs an opportunity? Let's throw them on a stage somewhere and just give them a chance. It's tricky in that sense. I think it all just boils down to just keep trying. Keep doing what you're doing, and don't give up, because I've seen it happen, and that is the worst. Like, trust me, a lot of times, unless you've got a real big chip on your shoulder and people are looking at you like, I can't work with this guy, I think the solution is just perseverance. And that's the hardest thing to try to teach someone.
Yeah.
Is just, you're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
You're just unlucky or whatever.
Or like your vibe wasn't
sucks.
right for the energy that they were trying to create, and
exactly
stuff like that.
That's
and
one that has happened to me.
Same.
I when I'm putting together a night, it's like, oh, I want it to kind of flow this way. This other night, oh, I want to kind of flow this way. And I've had sets where I'm like, this set is amazing. It just doesn't. It's not going to work with what I'm putting together. And I wish there was an opportunity for me to be able to put it somewhere. But we have to kind of work with what we're given.
Right.
Yeah, I think just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much, DJ Ear, for taking the time to interview with us. And that is the DJ interview series. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.
Bye.